right, so we went live, but now we're gonna wait for people.
I got the sale fixed. For some reason, I got confused.
And part of the problem is the image
Is
the
workbench,
which
yeah.
That's all we had to work with at the
Yeah.
time. Now I actually have something I could show them.
Get on that.
Yeah, I'm on it.
Jump. Hey, where is the banner that I can say, hey, there's a sale going on? That goes right here?
Yep.
Where's that at?
We'll do that later.
Oh, we're waiting.
Well, it's not something you want to do right now.
All right, I'll let you do it then.
Okay, we're just letting people come in. We haven't set up an event for this, so it takes a little longer for people to find the live event. So we'll give it a couple of minutes. Good morning, everybody.
I did get the notification.
Okay.
So that's finally feels like it's resolved.
It's matured. Good job, YouTube. Good job. All right, I think we're ready to roll. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to you.
Good day, good day, good day.
Good day. Oi, good day.
I have a sinus headache today.
Patrick says, hit the like button. You have a sinus headache?
Yeah. Hey, look, there's your attempt at...
Yeah, that's where I was hammering into the workbench.
Was this the wheat or is this the...
It's both. So look, here's the mountain, and there's the wheat.
I don't call it the mountain. I call it the
monster,
upside down monster.
From the upside down.
Monster from upside down.
Mm-hmm. That was good stuff. All right, should we start the show?
Yeah.
Let me see if I have any Patreon thank you peoples.
I should probably pause that.
Okie dokie dokie.
Everybody's asking questions already. Get my
Patreon.
clean my slate.
There we go.
Yes,
Jason's back.
Jason's back.
In full effect.
He went and did some hot riding.
Burning rubber.
Burning tires.
On the blacktop.
Do what I do.
That's what they do. Chisel, chisel.
Chisel, chisel.
David Hunter said he never got a notice.
Oh.
Make sure you click the bell.
Yeah.
Because there's a whole thing. Like, you can't just subscribe on
Yeah.
YouTube now. You got to subscribe and then say, oh, and I want to be notified that something's going on. So there's a little bell that you can hit.
On the main page.
Yeah.
Because I don't even think if you...
On the live page, is there a bell?
So I don't... Well, I've already... I think...
Yeah, you already hit it.
It's me, so...
Bell is checked, he said. Well, I would submit a strongly worded email to YouTube, which they will put in that very special file cabinet called the garbage can. Okay, should we start? Yeah, let's start. All right, it's Friday Live. I'm Marc.
And I'm Nicole.
And today we're going to talk about woodworking. I've got a new clamp to show you. We've got some stuff with the store to talk about.
Guild sale, the
big guild sale.
One.
Oh, this is the one.
This is the one.
This is the one that keeps our kids in fancy shoes all year. That's what this one is.
That still get dog poo on them.
They get dog poo and get thrown away a month later anyway. Yeah, so we've got the big guild sale. This is, again, the 12 weeks till Christmas sale. I think we're in week 10 now. Yeah. And this is the one that people really look forward to because it's got the roubo workbench in it.
The roubo workbench and the miter station.
Which is a new favorite. Was that one released this year?
No, it was last year. I made sure. I think it just hit the tail end.
Oh, okay. So. I gotcha. Cool. All right. Well, anyway, go to thewoodwhispererguild.com. Those two projects are on sale, 20% off. Discounts stack, so if you put a couple of these projects together, you get an additional discount. Mm-hmm. On top of that, you really don't want to miss it because this is the biggest sale we have all year long.
Yep. And I will say this.
Okay.
If you're watching this later and you go, I missed the sale for the roubo. It always happens. It's inevitable. Mm-hmm. I have the roubo later on.
Don't tell them that.
No,
you save that for later. No. What kind of sales tactic is that?
The sales tactic is
saying
I missed it.
You could forget people. don't buy it now because there's always a second chance.
I kind of fudge my rules. So every weekend has a theme. So this weekend is shop furniture.
Yeah.
The last weekend is going to be tables. Mm-hmm. And technically this is a table.
I disagree with your methodology, but we'll let that be what it is. So, hey, if you want to support the show, you can do so. Patreon.com/woodwhisperer is where you can go to set up a recurring donation, get a few things in return. Mm-hmm. Also get your questions, as priority on the show, so I will answer those questions first. Nicole will get the rest of the questions from the YouTube chat room. But that's patreon.com/woodwhisperer. We'd like to thank Colin Watson and Ray Gilmore for their contributions. Thank you so much, guys. We appreciate the support. And I think we'll get on to some questions. Oh, nope, got one more thing to do. Hold on. Hang on. Hang on. So this is not an ad. Some of you may or may not have seen Bessey's new gear clamps. The thing is, look, I like Bessey. And for years, I've always said that the Jets, the parallel clamps, the ones that everyone knows and loves when they go on sale, that the Jet version is better. Finally, Bessey's are competitive with the Jets. The newest Bessey's. They're really good.
What's up with that?
I know, I'm going to show you. What's up with that?
I don't know what that was.
What's up with that? Yo, what's up with that? But the one thing, and that was just kind of a preface to say that I can sometimes be hard on clamp companies, review-wise. That said, I love Bessey's ingenuity and the stuff that they come out with. So this is their gear clamp, and this is not a clamp that you're going to use in every situation. But there are times where you have to get a clamp into a tight space, and when the handle is in line with the little plunger dingy, you can't, there's just not enough room. You can't fit that clamp in there. So they came up with this gear clamp concept, which allows you can kind of raise this guy up and down, get close, and then the clamping action happens here, but the tightening happens back here. So you can get into a really tight space like this, like behind Nicole's ear.
Get out of here.
It's so cool. So I bought, I don't know, like 4 of them, 6 of them, something like that on Amazon. I think there's a 4-pack on Amazon that I found. Actually, let's add these to our store. And just to clarify, full disclosure,
Amazon,
I always tell you.
Amazon store, right?
Yeah.
I was like,
And it's these are, I
them.
believe, the 6-inch ones. The GK15.
The GK15.
Yeah, so again, this I always disclose when it's an ad. This is not an ad. I have no actual relationship with Bessey, but this is definitely something I think is a cool tool.
But it did that.
It's a cool tool.
So they got a 4-pack?
It's a what they did that. That's the one I got, the Amazon choice.
The Amazon.
It's $90 for a 4-pack of these bad boys. And that's the other thing is Bessey stuff isn't cheap. It just it goes with the territory. But I like it.
Head on over to Amazon.com/shop/thewoodwhisperer, and we have a Friday Live category that will be. I can't talk to.
Can we start a new segment for the show?
Yeah.
Like we'll call it Pocket Knife Minute or something.
Honestly, you can do whatever. It's your show.
I want to talk. Can we do the Pocket Knife Minute and I could show a cool pocket knife?
He wants to show off his pocket knife.
Fine.
So
no, I won't talk about it. But I'm satisfied because I just let everyone know that I have one.
Yeah.
And that's important.
Yeah. That video that was sent to us was perfect.
Yeah.
The guy
the friend with the pocket knife. we all know you have a knife. All right. It's an infatuation. I can't help it. And I may or may not have pitched Kershaw Knives for a sponsorship of a knife display box.
Like Carly Jepsen.
I had, sometimes I do write what?
In that "Call Me Maybe" song.
Who listens to that garbage?
Hey, everyone has. Not everyone.
You have a funny part going on today.
I don't know. My hair is like all wonky.
I think you slept weird. Okay. You guys know our anniversary is coming up?
Hey, it's tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. Isn't it great? What is it? It's been like 5 years?
I don't know.
6?
To be honest, I have no
25?
idea. Is it 30?
30?
Has it been 30 years?
Yeah, I think so.
Feels like 30 years.
We got married when we were 10.
Right. It feels right.
Our parents arranged it. That happens in America
Making
sometimes.
Jason laugh.
All right. Wow, there's a lot of questions on Patreon. I may not get to them all today.
Oh my goodness.
I'm going to take them in order from oldest to newest, and we'll just get to what we can. First one from our good buddy Chris Calnassi. He was the first.
He was the first.
Because I'm pretty sure he's my biggest fan, whether he knows it or not. First of all, go ahead and give yourself a personal high five for that killer job on the striping around the center door of the roubo cabinet. Anyhow, I have a toy chest that I have changed plans on several times, and now I'm using your latest shoe bench as some inspiration, but not green and green, just more Japanese inspired. So for the panels meeting up to the legs, any reason to lean toward floating panels inside grooves like you did? Hold on, let's back up. A toy chest.
What?
I'm using your latest shoe. Oh, okay. He's saying shoe bench. I'm thinking of the shoe rack.
Oh.
Not Jason's shoe bench, which is not a shoe bench.
Yeah,
we
no.
called it like an entry bench or something
yeah.
like that. But
The shoe rack.
I could not get my brain around what the heck he was talking about there. Okay, so he's saying he doesn't want to go toward green and green, just Japanese inspired. So for the panels meeting up to the legs, any reason to lean towards floating panels inside the grooves like I did versus non-floating panels. I'm guessing I would have end grain adhesion to the top. No reason. Generally speaking, when you have a frame-in panel, you always have a choice. You can go with something like plywood and have no movement issues to be concerned with, or you have to go with solid wood and a floating panel that expands and contracts. It's personal choice. It's obviously more work to make a 1/4-inch panel, and then you got to make sure it's sized properly for expansion and contraction versus a simple piece of plywood that's already the right dimension. Sometimes the tooling can help dictate this. How are you cutting your grooves? If you have a 1/4-inch bit that you're using to cut the grooves, or maybe a slot cutter or something to get around that curve, if you do that, then you are probably going to want something that you can size to the groove, which solid wood would allow you to do. So think about those things, but there's no reason necessarily to go with one or the other than personal preference, or you just want this thing to be all solid wood, that type of thing.
So I had a little bit like,
I saw a reaction.
I was like,
over there.
what in the world?
Huh, but what?
I was like, I wonder what the Woodworkers Fighting Cancer auctions are doing, because what's today? Today's the 18th, 2 more days, and then they're done.
Oi.
Done. So I quickly glanced at it.
Did my hand planes go for full price at least?
They did.
Okay, good.
They did. We are now at 113% of our goal.
Huzzah!
And that's how much.
What?
That's what?
The lunch with Marc,
With us?
Nicole, and Jason is over $800. What?
There you go. So
Dude,
we're
that's
gonna have
nuts.
lobster, man.
Yeah, holy smokes.
So thank you again for everyone that's continuing to bid on these auctions.
Whoever's bringing those numbers up. Wow.
The all access pass to the guild is up to $1,500.
As it should be.
Yes, it should be.
It should be more than that.
I know it should. I'm hoping somebody's just kind of waiting in the wings.
You never know.
Pounce on
Snipe
it.
it at the last minute,
Yeah,
right?
but yeah, all of your planes are going actually more.
Yeah. Oh, good. I mean, that's the thing. These planes, good quality hand tools, hold their value.
Yes.
It's one of the things in woodworking that you can count on usually getting almost 100% of your investment back if you decide to do
And
something.
it's not very often you can own a plane that was caressed and loved by Marc.
Let's just say it was hung on the wall so that I pretend that I actually use it, right?
Yeah.
All right, hey, Chris brought up the under workbench cabinet.
Yeah.
You guys want to see it real
Hey,
quick?
can I just say thank you for leaving a little place for my foot?
Oh, don't put your foot on there. It's freshly finished.
Oh, well, I need a place for my foot.
Put your foot on the ground like a human being. All right.
I'm too short. My feet don't reach.
Like an adult. Come on. We'll get you a shorter chair. Because it's actually already bad that you're like a foot below me here. Yeah. We'll put you even lower. All right, check it out, guys.
Woo!
Jason also wanted me to do some of this.
Oh, get out of here.
Look back there.
No, they don't want to see that.
Do you see what I'm doing?
They don't want to see that.
Nicole, do you see that?
I do see that.
How do you feel about that? Does it make you feel a little tingly?
Get out of here.
It's our anniversary tomorrow, guys.
A family show.
Yeah,
Stop it.
The magic is still there, huh? All right, so that's the under workbench cabinet completed. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you'll see that last night after I was done. I noticed in the photos there was a little bit of...
Everybody's like, stop, please stop. I don't want to see that either.
Just because it's like 95% men in the chat room.
Magic Marc.
So this one...
That's the show title, by the way, guys.
So this drawer right here, I noticed some tooling marks on there and decided I needed to fix it. I go to sand it, and then I realized that I was sanding through some of the stringing that just unluckily was not deep enough. So then I had to do a little bit of surgery on it to fix it last night, but I got it back. It's good to go and reinstalled. So this is a project on the Guild site. Nicole, do you have that link handy?
I do.
This is an accessory for the roubo, but you can certainly size this to fit any workbench. But this was a fun project. And the funniest thing, I got a couple people going, this is how they started. They went,
No, they didn't.
They were like,
You're just putting the inflection in their voice because you're annoyed with it.
The grain on the drawers isn't matched. And I'm like, no. Of course it's not, because this project did not start as this like higher end cabinet.
Right.
Like I remember we filmed the first episode, and people who've watched that, I think maybe it's the second one, where I specifically said, you know what's great about this?
This is just shop furniture.
It's just shop furniture. While I'm making it nice, I don't have to worry about grain. And where I normally do a whole thing on grain selection and grain orientation, I'm like, doesn't matter. As long as I don't have any like crazy streaks of sapwood, I'm fine with it. But then as this thing progressed, it evolved into this higher level thing that it was never intended to be. It just evolved into it. So I couldn't necessarily just go back and be like, yeah, let me replace all of these. So all of these drawer fronts are from the same board, but they are not grain matched in such a way where I really paid attention or got a really wide board to try to make them match vertically or whatever. It just wasn't something that I was worried about. But in the end, I'm still very happy with the final product. Brian Benham, the guy who draws up our plans for the guild, gave me the suggestion on how to improve that center door and drew this thing on, sketched it on a piece of paper. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, no, I'm not doing it. And then like 5 minutes later, I texted and I'm like, you're such a jerk. Because now I have to do it.
Somebody asked, how'd you do that inlay?
With a router, I have
string inlay.
Yeah, so it's a string inlay technique. It's just straight, no curves or anything like that. I've got a little baby DeWalt router and a 16th inch bit. And with an edge guide, I just drew everything on there, was very careful to make sure that the lines kind of stop where they meet another line. And then if there was anything that needed to be squared off, I just got one of my small chisels and very carefully squared off the corners. It's a painstaking technique, took a lot of time.
We did a guild meeting and demoed how to do
the process.
The process.
So if you don't know, if you're a guild member, we do monthly guild meetings, and I typically pick a topic related to something I'm working on at that time, and we'll just kind of spend an hour talking about it. So I did the string inlay demo. I'm also considering, now that I've done a lot of it, doing a demo and making a free video on the process. But no promises right now because it's super busy. But anyway, there it is. It's empty right now. There's not a thing in it. The other thing you don't see back here.
Get out of here.
I'm bending down.
Okay.
It's just hard. Now back here, I actually have, because super deep drawers, I didn't find them to be very useful for this design. So I've got about 3 or 4 inches of an alcove in the back. So the back panel is recessed. It's kind of pushed in a little bit, and I'll be able to mount rules, and I could use this as another mounting surface at the back. So this will be filled with tools at some point.
No, that's my footrest.
I will keep a spot for your damn foot.
That's my footrest.
Dang. A Nicole footrest. That'll be a whole project. So anyway, sorry, not to totally derail our conversations here, but I thought people might want to see that update. And that is a project on the Guild site, woodwhispererguild.com. Go check it out.
So the roubo that it goes in is currently the project that's 20% off. Not this one yet.
Yeah, the actual workbench that we're on. Here's another thing you guys happen to notice. Can you see it in this view? Some of you who watch my videos closely might notice that my bench is lighter. I actually have a clear finish on it now. I've gone back and forth.
It felt
looks
weird.
different, right?
Yeah, I was like, what's different about it?
When we were looking at the thing, I usually stain the bench only because it makes it a little bit easier to get my exposure settings correct for the camera.
Gotcha.
But I was like, look, it would not do justice to this cabinet to put it in a bench that's been stained. It would look terrible.
Yeah.
This makes sense. It looks good, and it's total overkill.
Got a super hit chat here from Darth Dweeb for the Friday Coffee Fund. It's Canadian, so you might be able to buy one coffee. If not, you can buy some QoS.
Sweet.
Thank you, Darth Dweeb.
Can we get a cup of Tim Hortons? Is that the brand, the Canadian drink?
Yeah. I used to travel to Canada for work on occasion, and I would always go to Tim Hortons.
Danielle's got a question about the Guild video. She said, Guild videos stored for members to view again? Yes.
Oh, yes.
You can view them directly on the site, but we also encourage you to download them. We provide a small file and a large file. You could download them for safekeeping, and this way you always have them. You could view them 100 times on your hard drive.
They're yours for life.
Yeah, they're yours. But you can always go back in and see them. There are people who are like, oh, I paused my membership and finally came back. I'm like, no, you didn't. You've been a member the whole time.
You've been a member.
You just didn't
the entire time.
You just didn't log in.
Yeah.
And they go back and they're like, projects they ordered 10 years ago are still there waiting for them. So
I'm going to put the link to our FAQ in the chat. It goes through all the questions that you might have, can I build a guild project for profit?
Right. Good questions there. Okay, let's get to another question. Hey, Marc and Nicole, thanks for the weekly entertainment. This is, oh wait, I scrolled down. I missed Jeffrey's. We'll get back to his. Oh, and the woodworking education. Haha, I'm close to taking the plunge on a Festool tracksaw and have two open questions. One, is there any issue or significant difference using two shorter tracks joined together versus one very long track? God, didn't we answer this a couple weeks ago? I feel like we did.
You got the right.
Might have been a guild meeting.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I know people who do join the two shorter tracks, and they actually join up really well. They have these little connector things that you just tighten into each track, and it aligns them perfectly. From what I understand, that is a much more economical way. You don't have to store like a 8-9 foot long track, and it works pretty well. I don't have one, I've never used it, but from what I understand, it works really well. Question number 2, how often have you used their undertrack clamps instead of relying on a non-slip strips to hold the track in place? I use them all the time. Most of the time, if I'm cutting plywood, larger pieces where the track is fully supported, I won't use them. But if I have something that's a smaller piece, it's on the workbench, it's on the assembly table over there, something that I feel like there's a potential for the track to move a little bit, then I'll grab one of their clamps and secure it from below. That's always a safer bet, but you don't always need to do it. But it's definitely something, if you're going to make use of this thing in all cases, you want to have those clamps around. It's good.
So they're talking in the chat room. I don't think that's what she meant. I think she meant the guild meetings. Are the guild meetings watchable later?
Yes.
Yes.
It's the same answer.
Yes.
You could watch them. You could download them. You could put them in your pocket.
There's even a wonderful alder plank salmon recipe.
Yes, there's quite a few things in there. We are currently working on a couple updates. Guild members will be excited about these.
Wow, it goes back to 2009.
There's a lot of guild meetings, and there is a lot of information packed in there. And I think it was Nathan Terapaki?
Yeah, Nathan emailed me, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, so he had a good suggestion about having some way to track if something has been viewed or not viewed. And we are adding that feature. It's currently being worked on, and this way you could very easily see, oh, I saw this guild meeting, because some of them aren't as descriptive text-wise, like the earlier stuff.
The early stuff.
I've tried to get more focused as we went on, so there's just a huge treasure trove. It's almost like if you found an old YouTube channel that was just packed with a bunch of videos you've never seen before. That's what the guild meeting section kind of is. It's an interesting thing. I pack a lot of stuff in there.
Top 5 planes for the hybrid woodworker, blanket chest die changes.
Milling figured wood. Make your own center finder. Look, there's Mateo in a weird,
oh my God, look
a
at
weird
Mateo.
little outfit. Flush trim bits.
Wow.
Yeah, it's all stuff that could be standalone videos on the free site.
Yeah.
If I were smart, but I'm not, so I just leave them
They're
there.
guild meetings. It's just
It's
added
an extra benefit.
Yeah, added bonus content for members.
Yes. All right, Jeffrey Smith says, I'm thinking about the Incra 5000 sled. The aluminum fence looks very adjustable, and it seems like if you are not careful during setup, you may be able to accidentally run the fence into the blade. I want to avoid that, and my assumption is, once the sled is configured for your saw, you should not have a problem with the fence coming into contact with the blade. Is this the case? No. You sometimes have to move that fence. If you move the fence to do a miter cut, or a lot of times you actually can move it into or away from the blade. So let's say it moves away. When you adjust the fence for a miter, you a lot of times will want to scoot it over because you want that workpiece to have as much support as possible. So one thing that I like to do is put a sacrificial fence on there. This way you're always cutting into the sacrificial fence, and that buys you a little bit of buffer zone before you even come close to the metal fence. But it is something that anytime you switch configurations or do something different on there, you should absolutely double check the path and make sure you're not going to make contact with that, especially if you've got something like a saw stop. That is the number one reason for saw stops firing off and people replacing brakes is not because of their fingers, it's because they hit something with metal in it.
Am I supposed to talk now?
I knew you weren't paying attention,
Okay.
So I just wanted to put some pressure on you.
W. Fine Woodwork says, is it possible to add a searchable index to the guild meetings? Oh,
No.
not right now.
Maybe. I mean, we that's another thing that's in the works.
Yeah.
I got to talk to John about how far away we are from something like that. I think we shelved the search, but it really needs to be done.
Yeah.
So there will be a search, and it won't necessarily be a searchable index for the guild meetings so much as you'll be able to search this site for a particular topic, and a guild meeting might show up as having that topic in it. But it'll only work if that word went into the write-up.
Yeah, one of the things, because I don't think all of the guild meetings are downloadable. I think I need to spend some time.
Yeah, that was a feature we added later. We also don't have time cues for all of them. That's
Right.
something we added later. So it's something
Put it
that
on
over
my
time.
to-do list.
Sure. Yeah, which means it's not going to happen.
Oh, I'll put it on the list.
But we got to catch up some of the old stuff to the standards of the newer
Exactly.
stuff. Okay, next one I got from Curtis Knight. Oh, just a comment. Should I just read it?
Yeah, just comment.
Comment on last week's discussion on heating a shop. My shop is heated with a wood stove. As much as I love wood heat, this has to be the worst possible option if one wants to keep their shop consistently within a particular temperature range, but it's the world I live in. I have discovered that on the weekends when I'm out heating the shop during the day, it is most definitely more fuel efficient to keep the shop warm. Side note, to keep the humidity down and thus prevent the tools from rusting, I heat the shop up each evening when I get home from work. I learned this lesson the hard way by having some rusty hand tools for the first winter after we bought the house. Story for another day. So he's just given a tip. I know someone asked about tools rusting or having condensation on them. So this is another argument for keeping things warm.
What about the BioShield stuff? Can you use that to try to...
Oh, BioShield?
Is it not Bio?
The T9 Bow Shield?
Bow Shield.
T9 Bow Shield is a good rust preventative, but what we're talking about is keeping the air conditioned in such a way that it doesn't promote, moisture collecting on the surface, just to avoid a
I
problem.
feel so bad because they gave us some product to put in the auctions, and
Nobody cares.
No, I accidentally typed BioShield, and I can't change it.
Oh, geez. So it's BioShield. BioShield
I'm
sounds
so
like
sorry.
a great name for a deodorant.
Bio-
Speaking of deodorant, Jay just left the room because he knows what I'm going to say. Right. So
you
here's
got a
the thing.
rash.
Yeah, I love going toward more natural products if possible. Right. I'm not one of those wacky, crunchy granola people. Right. But
You want to be.
I really want to be.
You want
I
to
want to be like a CrossFit vegan. But I'm just not.
Yeah.
No, seriously though, I do like to try more natural products.
Yeah.
And over the years, I have switched to a more natural deodorant repeatedly. Every damn time, I end up with a rash in my armpit. I cannot, I have to use Degree, which is, packed with aluminum and all that stuff. And the research on this stuff is always, it's the internet, that's ruining us, right?
Yeah.
Because the mommy blogs all talk about how bad things are, and the science doesn't necessarily support that. I get that. I have a background in science. I believe in science, right?
Yes.
But that said,
That said,
I still have it in the back of my mind that I'd rather wear a natural deodorant.
Sure.
And dang it, I can't. Even if it works,
well,
I get a
I would
rash.
encourage you to go back to Bloom and see if
Bloom?
take that the one that was working and then it didn't work.
Oh, is that called Bloom?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'll just use deodorant and suck it up and not worry about it because it's probably not going to hurt me, and
Yeah.
who cares?
Oh, Ken says I ended up using Dove. I
I think that's what Jay uses.
I use Dove.
Well, maybe I'll use girl deodorant.
It's deodorant.
It's pH balanced for a
It's
woman.
Marketing. BS.
I don't
There's
mind
no girl, a boy. It's all
Well,
same with
sometimes
shampoo.
smells, fragrances can be
sure.
gauged toward women or men.
Scott says use bacon grease.
That's what Cremona would use. Actually, when I got to him, like, it smells pretty good, man.
Smells pretty good.
Yeah. So right now, the irony of it is that I'm wearing no deodorant
Yeah.
because I don't want more of a rash.
Oh, you're not?
No, I'm wearing a nice layer
You're
of
fine.
hydrocortisone.
You're fine. Because
Get a little closer. Don't be shy.
Hey, Rich Bolduck said, "What brand of eye bleach do you recommend?"
Eye bleach?
I think it was he did the super chat when you were doing the dance.
Oh, okay. That's
He's
funny.
being funny.
I thought we were talking about beauty products.
No.
It could have worked in
It
both
could
cases.
have, yeah.
Okay.
You should never bleach your eyes. If you
No? I thought maybe, you know how people bleach skin that's dark, like their buttholes? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
That's a thing people do, right? I thought maybe someone might
Some
use
people?
bleach under their eyes
Yeah.
if they have dark rings. Do people do that? It seems like something people would do.
I don't know.
Okay, all right.
I don't have dark. Thankfully, I don't
Look,
have dark
I'm not,
underneath my eyebrow.
I'm not here to judge, Nicole.
I know you're not.
Okay, Alan Lilich says, I apologize if this is too wide open of a question. What are the issues and limits with solid panel doors as opposed to frame and panel? He sent a link, which I don't have time to look at, unfortunately. I see a lot of reasonable sized cabinets with solid panel doors. Pat and I are designing a cabinet based on the Guild Shaker sideboard, a little taller, 2/3 as wide. We bought a gorgeous spalted maple slab from Matt. It would be fantastic to have the whole front of the cabinet basically be the face of a slab. Now, I agree, that is pretty cool, Alan. And I think the problem is solid wood panels do have a tendency to cup, bow, just they move, right? And the wider the panel is, it sort of increases the chances that it is going to move. And this is why, generally speaking, frame and panel designs have come about, is to kind of give us the look of a good quality solid door, but tame the movement and really stack the cards on our side that we're going to be able to have a door that stays flat. So you absolutely can do that. There's nothing wrong with it. I tend to not do that because the bigger you get, the more of a problem there is potentially. And I don't want a door that starts to pull away at the top corner, and doesn't completely close all the way. So I think personally, if you want to go with a big solid panel door, it's a bit of a gamble. And all I can tell you is, you're right, it's a bit wide open because you can get down to specifics here, but the bigger it is, the more of a chance that you're going to have a problem with that. But if you're using well-dried, stable stock, and you're keeping it in an environment that's fairly well-conditioned, the humidity doesn't have big swings throughout the seasons, you have an even better shot of that thing staying flat. But there's very rarely any kind of a guarantee. So it might be something where you think about the possibility of making it veneered. And you can still get the appearance of that sort of slab look, taking the face grain and doing something with it that makes it nice and stable by putting it on a stable core and having it be a veneer. Now, of course, your edges are potentially problematic with your
I love
design.
that you looked at me like I was going to give you some kind of feedback.
Yeah, sure. I'm just looking for affirmation.
Just,
and
veneer.
Yeah. So think about that, but there's really no magic to it. A big, solid panel rarely stays completely flat. It's just the way it is.
Just the way it is. What are you going to do?
Just the way it is.
Have a super chat here from Gordon White.
Gordon White.
Said, for the anniversary coffee toast. Thank you. Yep.
Cheers.
This is how we're going to spend our anniversary.
Drinking
In case
coffee
you're wondering.
and doing Friday Live?
No, we're
Oh.
going to go to an 8-year-old's birthday party. Woo woo, we know how to work.
Raise the roof.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
We actually did get a babysitter. So I still have to figure out what we're doing. Sometimes when we get a babysitter and we don't plan, we just kind of drive around going, what do we do? Like,
Well, we go to eat, and then we go to Walmart. And so
yeah,
maybe Sam's Club,
you know.
buy an apple pie.
It's so weird because we're
There's-
just like, we don't have enough time to I guess we do. I mean, she would stay longer.
Yeah. But I think we feel bad about subjecting our children to other people for long periods of time. So Eric Liu says, not a question, but I saw Essential Joinery advertised in the Lee Valley fall catalog.
Oh yeah,
We saw that. It just came in the other day.
Do you think that's their thank you to you for
buying their planes? I think that's a little too fast.
Yeah.
I just bought those planes, and I'm sure this catalog was in print
Yeah.
and designed a long time ago. If you aren't familiar, this is Essential Joinery. This is the book that I released this past year.
In March.
It was a whole thing. And the books are still for sale. You can get them anywhere you buy books generally, but if you want the cheapest price, I'd recommend going to Amazon. If you want one that is signed, and we actually do get the most financially from it, but it is not a bargain because we charge full price for it. You can go to our website at thewoodwhispererguild.com/store, I believe, or actually just go to essentialjoinery.com and you will find this book. We've got paperbacks, and we also have a very limited supply of the hardcover edition. All right, this is lots of fun, but what he's saying was Lee Valley did a little.
That's pretty cool.
It's not really a review; it's just a description
Yeah.
of it, but it was cool to see it in the catalog. I was excited by that.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Protocol.
Speaking of Lee Valley,
Yep.
got another one here. Sean Harrison said, just saw Veritas released a flushing chisel set. Have you had a chance to check them out? Thoughts on them that I shouldn't have even read it because I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe I'll go pick up that catalog and see if they're in there.
Before we leave the topic of the Guild store, we should probably mention that our shipping department, which is his mom,
Yeah, Mama.
is going to be moving. So the last
Mommy.
day to do any kind of orders will be Wednesday.
I think she said Wednesday.
So
Get your order in by Wednesday.
TWWstore.com. After Wednesday, the store, any kind of things that we're shipping out is closing for, I don't know how long we're closing the store. What, a week maybe?
She's moving.
Yeah.
So it may be a while. It's going to be a bit of a delay. I'm looking at this flushing chisel. It's a handle and blade set. So the handle comes apart from the blade, and you can get, it looks like a set of 4 blades that come with it. I don't know. It looks like a giant, wide paring chisel of sorts. I'd have to look into this a little bit more to understand why this would offer me an advantage over, something like a standard flat, wide paring chisel, right? But it looks cool. I don't know. I'll take a look at it later and give you an opinion.
I did notice that we still have a few Woodworkers Fighting Cancer t-shirts. So
Oh,
if
we
you're a
do.
size large or a size small,
Okay.
you can get I like these shirts. These are really cool looking shirts.
Okay. You know what? I'm looking at the design here.
Why don't you have one of these? Your mom needs to bring you one of these. These are nice shirts.
We're on two different topics here, Nicole.
Oh, sorry.
I'm thinking basically the flushing chisel design, I see the difference now. So if you just have a regular paring chisel, you always have this situation where the handle sits below the back of the blade. In this situation, this flushing chisel is kind of like this neck that goes up and allows you to get down flush on a surface without the handle getting in the way. That's what it is. So I don't know, it seems pretty neat. I mean, I'm not necessarily compelled to order it myself, because a lot of times I'll just use a flush trim saw and then smooth it from there, but this seems like a decent alternative for those who like to cut instead of saw. Wait, never mind. Slice instead of saw. There we go.
I said, everybody in the chat is going, Happy Friday. I'm like, Happy Friday. Oh, wait, I'm a parent of small children. I don't get a break.
Nope. Actually, well, today kind of is our break.
Yeah.
Because the kids are at school.
The week is our break.
Okay, David Wiggins is going to ask me a complicated question that I'm not going to be able to answer adequately right now.
Okay.
I'm just predicting this. I'm building a massive 12-inch subwoofer speaker box for a client out of solid walnut. Crazy, I know. It will be almost solely out of 8/4, possibly 10/4 walnut, and I want to do box joints and resin dowels for reinforcement. My question is, I'm wanting to make my fingers on the joints 2 inches wide. The Incra jig can only do 3/4 of an inch. Given that these pieces will be 36 to 48 inches long, how the heck do I cut these 2-inch fingers? Much appreciated. Dude, you are your own worst enemy. What are you doing? This is huge. I'm just trying to think. I mean, at 2 inches, that's even challenging to take a router to. Break out the handsaw and chisels, dude, because I don't know, man. That's a lot of meat to cut through. You might be able to get a good 2-inch cut at the table saw if you could balance that thing, but man, you're talking about 8/4, 10/4, 4 feet long. That just sounds like I'll tell you what I would do. I would do something else. I would either come up with different joinery. I would do something a little bit, more sensible for that scale of material. Otherwise, I don't really have a great recommendation. Those are too big and too deep. And box joints, you can cut them by hand. They're no different than doing like big dovetails by hand. So you might be able to jig something up at the bandsaw. If you can get your bandsaw aligned and get repeatable cuts there, the bandsaw should be able to cut repeatable and cleanly, at the very least, to give you your wall cuts, right? And once those are established, then it just comes down to how you're going to hog out the middle material. So the more I think about it, the more I'm inclined to say the bandsaw might be your best choice. If you have the Guild project for the roubo bench, look at the condor tails. So the front of the workbench has really, really big dovetails, and we use the bandsaw to make that, most of it.
Doug McPherson said, I wouldn't recommend cutting fingers. I've done it. It's not fun.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's not fun. But
no fun.
I think David's personal motto is anything worth doing is worth overdoing.
That's your motto.
Oh, okay. Well, that's why. Must be why I like him.
You can get along with it as well.
Okay, Isaac got 3 more here. So I've been doing
Somebody
a lot
asked
of these.
what's hanging from Deadpool's foot, and I knew you cannot resist
Oh,
the opportunity.
You guys want to know about a knife?
Now this is a knife.
This is a knife. This is definitely not a knife.
No, it's not.
This is a little sticker. This is a CRKT. Really nice, inexpensive. It's called the Minimalist. This is just a little knife my buddy Tyler bought for me. Mm-hmm. And
Your BFF.
actually, I said that what would happen is
What is it called?
I would wear this around my neck on our next date night, which is tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Tonight.
it kind of looks like a bolo tie.
What's it called? The minimal.
Oh, that's tonight?
Oh,
I thought tomorrow.
We're gonna go skating tonight.
Well, that's not date night,
Well,
Nicole. That's
I thought you were talking about a date night with Tyler.
I don't go on dates with him. I mean, I'd like to, but he's just not into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, this is a little knife that he got me, and we keep it behind a bench because it looks cool. And sometimes you never know. You just need something to
look at it.
slice some stuff open.
Is that it right
yeah,
there?
it's $21 on Amazon.
There you go.
And actually, for as small as it is, the finger holds are just perfectly situated. It's a nice little
It's
knife.
so cute.
I like it a lot. So I hang that from Deadpool's neck, right there.
Deadpool, hold that for me.
Okay, Colin says, good day to you, Marc and Nicole. I heard you previously express an interest in building a snare drum. Was wondering if you have thoughts on building a cajon. While I'm more of a kit drummer, their simplicity is intriguing. Little, yellow, different. I'm thinking shoe rack or bread box class and unnecessary design. I imagine a Marc cajon would be too beautiful to beat, but you have to anyway. Okay, you know the funny thing about this? It's a drum. It's a square drum that you often sit on.
Cojones.
You drop your cojones on it and you play the cajon. And it's kind of cool. I've seen a couple different designs. I believe you can even I haven't really researched them, but I believe you could even put a snare from a snare drum in there to give it a little bit more of a gritty sound. But it's a hollow box that becomes a drum. And the person who sits on
Is that
it...
what David did that one time?
He made one on Woodworks.
Yeah.
So you sit on it and you could actually play it while you perch your little butt on there. The funny thing is I was contemplating the next project for the free site, and I've got a couple in mind, but one of the ones I've been waiting to do at some point is a cajon. I actually thought about this the other day. So it's certainly something that is in the cards at some point. I'd have to do a little research on my options and how we can embellish it and make it really cool, make it sound good. But yeah, I'd love to do a project like that.
So apparently the large shirts are now out of stock, and there's only one small shirt left of the Woodworkers Fighting Cancer.
Get on it, Cremona. Sorry, it's the only guy I know that's a small right now.
Andrew wants to know, hey, Marc, making the roubo, and I don't plan on getting the vices just yet. Do I cut the holes for it now, or should I wait to get the vices? Tanks.
I mean, cutting the holes implies that you already have the material milled. I would say take a step back from that. If you don't have the hardware, I would not pre-mill stuff. You know, I always like to wait a while with this until I'm actually ready to go, ready to move everything forward. So it's not, I mean, yeah, these parts are really thick. They're really big. So you're drilling holes in the leg, you're drilling holes in the chop. I guess, I mean, I might take that back a little bit because it should be fairly stable given the size of these parts. All right, yeah, so I'm going to change my answer. Normally, I like to wait until the last minute to do the final work on something, wait till I have the hardware, because just in case things move, I want to be able to mill it, have it perfect, and then do my install. But on this, given the scale of those pieces, you're probably fine milling the holes. It's not a bad idea, though, to have the hardware on hand, only because Benchcrafted generally likes to muck with things. So sometimes they may... They have the right to, because it's their product and I can't keep up with it, they may change the size of a piece of hardware. They may change the size of a screw or a bolt. So it's generally a good idea when it comes to anything related to this partnership between us and Benchcrafted to wait till you actually have the stuff in hand and see if the things they've given you jive with what I've shown in the videos. So that might be one reason to hold off. Cajon.
No. So Jesus in the chat said, piece
they
of
pronounce the J?
He said, piece of advice. Don't say, is it the same? Cajon.
He put the only difference is an A and an O.
A and O.
Look, we're not going to say it right anyway. And you're correcting us, and we don't even understand the correction.
I know,
That's not helping the situation.
I actually Googled it.
He says, don't say cajon, say cajon. And I'm like, they sound the same to me.
Yeah.
We'll have to look at one of those pronunciations.
Yeah. With the cajon.
Either way, I don't think you pronounced the J.
He left the chat, so hopefully I didn't.
He did a little drive-by.
You upset him.
I offended him with my cojones.
All right. We
Okay.
got a question here from. Oh, you have any more questions?
One more? Two more. Mike Davies says, wondering if you see a benefit to building a tool cabinet like Matt's over having a tool wall like yours, other than space constraints. I'm running out of space on my wall for hand tools and would build a cabinet if there's a benefit like rust prevention or something rather than just paring down my hand tool collection and getting rid of what I don't use. Well,
You've made tool cabinets before.
Sure.
We have videos on the free site of you making tool cabinets.
Yeah, I think space is definitely a concern. And if you don't have a lot of space or you're running out of space, a tool cabinet is a great way to condense a lot of tools into a small space. I do feel like you would have some protection from rust to some degree if your tools are in an enclosed space. You could even get fancy and put some kind of desiccant inside that tool cabinet to draw the moisture away from the tools. So especially if you live in a really moist environment, something where the humidity is very high, a desiccant inside a tool cabinet, it sounds like a great way to go. So I think you've identified some of the potential benefits. I really do prefer having tools on the wall. In fact, one of the first videos in that series was me appearing in Matt's video explaining why I like my tool wall and why I don't want a tool cabinet. And then a couple months later, I had to build one that went under the workbench. So, again, I said this before, I built this cabinet because people asked for it, not because I actually thought I needed one.
And you're also allowed to change your mind.
Yeah, but not in this case. I didn't change my mind.
Okay.
I may change my mind afterwards after living with it, saying, hey, you know what? I like having the chisels right here and not there.
Aren't you going to do that with one of the videos as far as like the placeholders inside the drawers? You're going to live with it for a little bit? So
I finished the video series. I mean, it's not published yet, but I finished filming it. And the last thing I say is like, look, I know it would be nice if I could just now show you how I'm going to stock all these drawers, but I need to live with this thing for a little while before I understand what's going to go where. And a lot of times when you design interiors of drawers, you're really committing. You're committing to the number of chisels you have and the sizes and the type of rasps that you have. I'm not ready to make those commitments yet. So I want to live with it for a bit and then design things. So I'll do a supplemental and on video later on.
So Jesus said, no, I'm not offended. I was just wondering about YouTube in Spanish flagging the video for inappropriate language.
It's just offcuts. Who cares? It might, but this is not our this is our fun channel, not our money channel.
Hey, by the way,
and when I do the actual video, I'll be sure to get the pronunciation.
We did pass 40,000 subscribers on the channel, which is kind of cool.
On offcuts?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Not bad for a hobby channel.
Yeah. Thanks to everybody that's subscribed. That's awesome.
That's a lot of people.
That is.
Okay, let's do my last one here on Patreon.
Okay.
Nick Silva says, I'm looking to buy a small router plane for some tight work under a 1/4 inch, but I'm wondering if I should just buy a larger router plane and get the small blade adapter, such as the one Lee Nielsen offers. Any thoughts on which might be a better investment? I'm thinking the larger tool and adapter may be more versatile over time. Also, any opinion on open versus closed throat router planes? I agree with you. I think you are probably better off getting the larger one. I think it's going to be more useful. I have a router plane, and there's very few times, if ever, that I was like, oh, I wish I had that smaller one. So that's why I have the big one. Depending on what you build, you may have more use for the smaller range. But if you can get one that has blades that are teeny tiny, if the blade size is the problem and not the size of the sole or the base of this thing, then absolutely go with the larger one. Get a nice range of cutters for it, and I think you'll be fine. I do like the closed throat on this. I like having extra support. Sometimes a router plane is a little bit tricky to balance, and I feel like the more support that you have on there, the better. And especially the Veritas I really like, just because they have a nice range of blades. I don't know, haven't seen this adapter for the Lee Nielsen, but that was one of the advantages Veritas had, was they made a really nice set of small, tiny blades. So I guess this is something maybe they came up with fairly recently to address that smaller range. But yeah, generally speaking, I like having the additional support on the closed version. So the Veritas is definitely my favorite out of the two.
So I forgot to mention, you were talking about the Benchcrafted vise.
Yes.
If you are a guild member and you have the roubo, we actually do have a exclusive discount with Benchcrafted. I think it's 5% off the vise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 5% discount. If you're buying both of them, you're probably looking at over $1,000. Mm-hmm. So that's a pretty strong investment, which means a 5% discount is very welcome.
Mm-hmm. And that discount right now, the coupon code is on the roubo build itself. And it expires at December, right? December is when that one expires. We renew it with them.
They change it periodically just for security reasons.
I'd also like to announce that we have discounts with a 10% discount with Eagle America and MLCS now. Okay. And free shipping.
Well, they're the same company. That makes sense.
But I used to only have a coupon for Eagle America, but now I have it for both. Mitch gave me a coupon for both.
Everything's kind of combined internally now.
And then the final vendor discount that we have in the guild is now with Maverick Abrasives.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I still have not tried their sandpaper.
They were supposed to send you some.
Come on, Maverick. Get on it. They're too busy posting pictures of Ramon Valdez. and his giant arms.
So if you go to thewoodwhispererguild.com/member-benefits, you'll see all of our current vendor discounts on that page. So yeah, 15% at Maverick, 10% off Eagle America, 10% off MLCS, 10% off Bell Forest products. So if you're ordering wood, we have 20% off total boat orders. So yeah, there's a ton of awesome discounts there. Even Brusso. Cool. So there you go.
I'm going to add a question here. Chaos Under the Moon says, I'm doing a charity build for the BTD Foundation. Do you know what that is?
Mm-mm.
I don't know what it is.
I'll look it up.
Can you give me advice on how to get a lumber company to donate wood? This is tricky because lumber companies are usually, small family-owned businesses. So the best thing you can do is go in and ask to talk to someone and tell them what you're doing, and they may immediately go, oh, absolutely, we'll hook you up. They also may go, we're not really interested. So it really depends on who's running this company. It took me a long time based on where we lived, the different companies we've worked with. As long as we've been doing this, it was this year, maybe going on a year now, that we finally got some kind of an official arrangement with a lumber company to help sponsor our show. And we have pretty decent numbers. So it takes a lot for a company to look at those numbers, which is essentially an international audience, right? How much benefit does a local lumber supplier get from that international audience? It's, you break it down, there are numbers, but it's a little hard to convince them. And if they see it and they see the benefit, then they'll be, much more open to it. But if you have to convince them, it's a whole lot harder.
It also helps if you're a nonprofit, so they could do it as a tax write-off. If you are an official, so like our friend Ben has a nonprofit where he makes boxes for charity that he has
and chances are, the way he described this sounds kind of like what we're doing with Woodworkers Fighting Cancer. It's not necessarily that we are a charity. It's a charitable event, and it's a drive, right? A funds drive. So in that case, there is no benefit other than them feeling good that they helped contribute. So it might be hard. Like that might be the missing piece of the puzzle. Their donation does not become tax deductible unless they can show the paper trail, right? So it's hard for them to do that unless you got a feel-good person in there who just wants to feel good about helping you out with your charity event. So, but again, talk to someone. It's just, a face-to-face conversation, not a phone call, not a email. Just get there, go to the place, tell them what you're doing, see if they're interested, be respectful. And if they're not, don't be offended.
Andrew says, does the Benchcrafted hardware ever go on sale? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Speaking of small family companies, they're not the kind of company that, it's boutique stuff, right? And I don't mean that in an insulting way. I mean, it's stuff that's built so much better than it really needs to be, but that's why it's so awesome and why it performs so well. They're like, companies like Apple, luxury car companies. These are companies that don't discount because they don't have to.
Ken Coyle says, would you consider replacing the face vise on the roubo with the new twin turbo vise that Andy Klein developed? We had a whole meeting on that.
Yeah, he was here on a Friday Live.
Yeah, it was a Friday Live.
Yep. No, I wouldn't. It has nothing to do with the vise. It has everything to do with the fact that I paid a lot of money for the one that's on there. I really like it. And modifying this bench to house the new vise is a lot of work. And the benefits that I get from that vise.
I'm lazy.
Also, my bench dog setup, everything I have here is set up to work with the Benchcrafted tail vise. I think if you are designing a new roubo workbench or any workbench, you should definitely consider the twin turbo vise as an option. So it's Andy Klein. See if you can find his site. I always have trouble finding it. But he has those vices for sale. It's a fantastic vise. But I would rather see that built into a new design as opposed to retrofit into an old one.
It's inclined.
Yeah, inclined. INK. Put the link in the show notes.
I'm just going to put the link in the show notes. Andy, you need a better website name.
Get rid of that dash.
Rick wants to know. Rick.
There, I'll put it in the thing. There we go.
There you go. Rick wants to know, how many coats of spray lacquer would you use on a piece you plan to buff out with paste wax later?
4+. You can always do more. But if you're buffing it with paste wax, you're probably not really abrading much finish off of the surface. It's not like you're doing, a full rubbing out gloss finish on that, which definitely burns through a lot more layers. So I would say you want at least 4 on there, just in case you get a little aggressive at some point. Any more than that is just gravy. It doesn't really matter. You can go as thick as you want.
Scott Harmon wants to know, the green Adirondack chairs look nice, but are they comfortable to sit in? I think
you can answer that.
I think they're really comfortable to sit in.
They are very
they're a little
comfortable.
hard to get out of.
I was going to say, if you are, maybe older or you have maybe back problems, leg problems, something where a low chair is not a good thing for you.
It's nice. I love sitting in them.
Yeah, I mean, you get down there, you sink back in, you got a nice wide arm, which is great because it's like a built-in cup holder.
Yep.
So you could have your beer, you could have your glass of iced tea, your lemonades.
Lemonades.
And it's right there. And then someone goes, hey, the grill is on fire. And you're like,
I can't get out of the chair.
and you make your old man noises.
You use
the chair to get out.
Kind of pull yourself
because you
up.
really are sunken in. It's a very deep reclined kind of position.
Yeah.
So I find them very comfortable, but the word of warning is make sure you can easily get out of these things. Or if it's on a patio, install a rope and you can pull yourself out of the chair. We could do that where
like
it's positioned.
Ben.
Kazank has 99 problems, but his Adirondack chair ain't one.
That's true. Ben wants to know, how do you like the Very Super Cool Tools aftermarket table saw fence? My fence can be a little wavy. I'm considering an upgrade, not a bad price either.
I love it. And they use 80/20, and I don't know if that particular, when they first launched, they used an 80/20 aluminum extrusion off the shelf. And it had a little bit of a rounded profile or a dip in it. If you just referenced completely off the fence, it was fine. But over time, people were like, no, I want a dead flat plane on that face of the fence. And then they upgraded it, and that's what they have now. So I'm saying this because a lot of people see the VSC setup and they say, well, I could just buy 80/20 extrusion and build my own fence. Well, you probably still can, but I don't know if that extrusion with the flat face is a regular item at 80/20. I keep looking at you as if you have any clue what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It just makes me feel like we're having a conversation rather than a speech. But anyway, if you really just want to get it done, get a good product, support a small family-owned business, Very Super Cool Tools sells not just the extrusion for the fence, but also the adapter. And if you have a Biesemeyer style setup, that thing just slapped right down on my Powermatic fence and was a complete replacement. I didn't have to replace rails or anything. So I like it. I think it's great. It's dead flat. It has been extremely reliable. And if you have all those little nuts and bolts and stuff that they give you with it, you could build tall fences, sacrificial fences, fences for cutting rabbits with the dado blade, recessed in there. And I've only scratched the surface of the cool things you can do with it. Go to their website, verysupercooltools.com.
So Alan, who runs the business with his wife.
He's
so
the guy. He's the guy in the videos.
He has a YouTube channel called Ask Woodman, and he goes through. He has a huge repository of
I think
videos.
Alan has been around almost as much as me.
Yeah, and his video,
if not as long as we have.
He 9 months ago posted a video, and he says, "I'm back and cancer free." He had a bout of cancer treatment, and we are so happy you're doing well.
Good for you, man.
So
go support those guys. They are great people, and they do make a great product. And the thing is, we've never, they did send me that fence for free.
Yep.
And I think I did a couple of things where I just talked about it. But one thing you guys probably learn about me, if I don't like something, it's not staying around.
Yeah.
If it was given to me for free, if I bought it, whatever it is, I don't keep things that aren't working for me. How long did that Makita miter saw stay in my shop? Just long enough for me to make a video that go, this sucks. I'm sending it back, right? And this fence has been there. Why? Because it works and it's great. It's just a nice, simple, solid design. It works really well.
Sam Davis just said, Woodworkers Fighting Cancer question, are we allowed to make minor changes to the design for the Woodworkers Fighting Cancer project as long as it's an elevated animal feeder stand?
Yeah.
Yes.
And as long as it was made now, right? If it was made 6 months ago, it doesn't count. You can make all kinds of changes to it, but we want to make sure that it was built specifically for this charity effort. That's
and
the
we've
only
even
thing
said,
ask.
Some people don't have animals, so make a little step stool.
You can make a step stool.
Don't do the holes.
Right. Leave the holes out, and you got a nice little step stool.
I got a question here from Nicholas Moore. Marc, what are the next top 5 projects in the queue for the Wood Whisperer?
There isn't a top 5.
No. Well, we
If
do
I'm
need
lucky,
to,
there's
we need
a
to
top
make
2.
We need to make the knife holder because
The next one is probably going to be a knife holder.
Yeah, we need to make a. So
think about like a Cremona spice box, but instead of spices, it'll have knives in it. Glass top, display case, possibly a lock because it will have sharp knives in it. But it will be a display case holder that you can kind of keep your stuff in, put them at there at the end of it. Put your EDC in there. You know what I'm talking about, right? And then you can lock it up at night. If you have kids, you might want to do something like that.
So that one, I know we still have.
Beyond that, I'm not sure.
We still have the memorial. Flag, the flag case. Yeah, we
not
still
sure
got
that's
that.
going to happen. We'll see.
We have.
I don't like to think more than one project ahead.
Yeah.
We also got this under workbench cabinet done a lot faster than we normally would get things done, so I'm probably going to have time to drop a couple more videos out before I take my break for Christmas time.
The deadline to submit your photos for Woodworkers Fighting Cancer builds October 31st, end of this month.
Yeah. Let me answer this question. It seems dark. It says, do you know if there's something like a European-style hinge with no need for the big hole in the door? I'm making a small cabinet with a 14 millimeter. And he doesn't finish that. So the only thing I could think is you might be looking for something that's like a hidden hinge. I don't know if what you want is the kind of spring-loaded Euro-style setup.
He finishes it right
did he?
there.
Okay.
55 inches, and they're not thick enough to allow for normal European hinge.
No problem. So I think a good thing for you to look into, maybe get away from European-style hinges, consider a knife hinge. Knife hinges install at the top of your door and the bottom of your door. They're made for very fine doors, very thin doors. You could also put them on thick doors. It's actually a really strong way to mount a door. A little bit trickier to install, but we've done it many times on projects. I love knife hinges. So look into that as an alternative. What you aren't going to get is that kind of auto-closing spring back action that you get with a Euro hinge. But I also don't know. There's so many crazy cool hardware solutions out there from these companies that specialize in that kind of hardware. You might find something that doesn't require the cup, hinge depth to be so deep. I don't know. Maybe the chat room can help you with a suggestion on that side of things, but I'm going to throw out a knife hinge as a suggestion.
Richard Albert says, planning on buying the miter station plan today. I want to upgrade my saw as well. Wondering if I need to spend the extra money for a double bevel model.
Well, the answer to that comes from looking at what I have. You don't need the large sliding double bevel
Oh, he
saw.
had a second part to it. Or can I save $100 or more for a single bevel? I'm not sure that I've ever used a bevel on my miter saw, as I usually do those on the table saw. Thanks.
Yeah. So I think you can get away with it. I have one of the simplest miter saws on the market. It's not a slider. I believe it's only got a single bevel on it as well. Simplicity in miter saws, especially if you're a woodworker who works in a shop where most things are square, and the only time you're doing angles when you very intentionally need a specific angle. We're not on a job site where we have to get all creative and make things fit into a space that's not perfect. That's a different way of doing the work. So for me, I like the idea of having a simple saw that stays calibrated and is almost always perfect and doesn't need to be adjusted. And the more things that saw can do, the more places it has to possibly go out of calibration. That's why I went with that DeWalt. I may not have it forever. I do miss capacity. I miss the sliders capacity. I don't do many bevels either, so I don't miss the fact that I can only bevel in one direction. But if you haven't done any beveling and you don't anticipate it, I think you can save the money. That's not to say that you might not hit a project at some point that you go, well, crap, I wish I had the ability to send the bevel in the other direction. So it's a little bit of a gamble, but I think it's probably a good bet just based on the kind of work that I do.
Derek A. wants to know, is the finishing the finish information in the simple varnish finish video, or
No.
is it in one of the free videos? I've seen it before, but I can't find it again. Finishing the finish. If I just search for it.
It's been covered in our videos probably a couple times. Did I do a standalone video on it?
I don't know. I don't know. I'll look for it. Finishing booth. Yeah, I don't know.
I know at the end of a lot of
Gosh.
videos, I will show that process on how I take a cured finish and just make it better, smoother. I think we covered that process in the gaming dining table.
So this one, it came up in the knockdown trestle table, the finishing the finish.
Okay.
So you even have a live finishing Q&A.
Yeah, so while I don't have a standalone video on that, you could probably find it. Rubbing out a high gloss finish contains a lot of the same concepts, although it's a much more involved process. You could do a much simplified version of that on just about any finish to make sure
I almost feel like you need to make a video
standalone
titled
video.
Finishing.
It's crazy that I haven't.
Yeah, it's crazy.
This is crazy. You know what? We need to finish the finish on this workbench.
Okay.
Because we put a film finish on it.
Yep.
Technically, it's not a film finish, but we'll get into that later.
So
But
maybe you can do a quick video
put some finish on it. Feel it. It's a little gritty, right?
It is.
So it has dust that dried into it, and we're going to finish the finish on this to make it nice and smooth.
There you go. Got a question here from Joshua Fink. Made a chest of drawers from the Woodsmith magazine a few years back. I would like to view a hands-on build for maximum learning. Your first build or second build chest of drawers, which one would you recommend?
I think the first one is more widely applicable. It's a simpler frame and panel design. The second one was a really unique design incorporating all solid wood. It was something I was building for a very particular customer. And I had some design challenges based on his requests, not necessarily what I thought was the best way to design it. It was something that he insisted I want it to look like this. I had to come up with a way that works with wood.
The modern chest of drawers.
The modern chest of drawers is the second one. So I actually think the first one is probably going to be more applicable and contains techniques and materials that are going to be a little bit more familiar to people.
I've seen that one made into like low dressers too,
like
instead
a
of a
bureau
hot
type thing,
bureau.
right? Bureau.
Bureau.
Yeah, and that's definitely sales-wise, more people buy the first one than the second one.
We're going long today. We've got a lot of questions. Jack Dalby, have you ever had to sharpen a router bit? Or is it more cost effective that you just purchase a new bit by the time it's actually dull? I assume you clean them regularly as you do saw blades.
We do clean them regularly. I should say Jason cleans them. He's getting really good at cleaning bits. I do not sharpen my router bits.
Yeah.
It depends. I mean, if you're a hobbyist and you like doing maintenance tasks like that, you might be able to take the time to get good at sharpening a router bit. For me, most of the time, it is not worth my time. If you value your time with a dollar amount, it doesn't take long before you go, you know what? I'm better off just buying that. And then when this one is dead, throw it away.
But that Big Daddy bit, I could see you spending time to sharpen that. I mean, it's huge.
I can see me paying someone to sharpen that, but there's no way I would be able to sharpen that with any level of accuracy to the point that it would be usable when I was done.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but you're right. If it's a really heavy-duty, crazy bit, it might be something that financially, not doing it myself, that's not even part of the conversation, but having someone else sharpen it.
It costs you $150 to buy that bit.
Well, like forest blades.
Yeah.
It costs like $18 to $20 to get them sharpened, and it costs like $100+ to buy a new one. You want to sharpen that as many times as they'll sharpen it for you.
Yeah. Ken Coyle, I think. I'm curious about Marc's background in science. What kind of scientist were you? Chemist, researcher?
A really bad one.
You weren't that.
That's why I'm a woodworker now. They said, you're out of here. My specialty was in genetics. That was what I loved. I really enjoyed it. I studied that in college. When I got out of college, the only job I could get, because I only had a bachelor's degree, was for a company that makes reagents and kits. So I moved out to California, worked for a company that was bought out by Gibco, which if you work in the sciences, you know who they are. It was called Invitrogen at the time. And they made a lot of kits that were in the area of science I understood. So like PCR kits, DNA, cDNA library kits, things like that. So my job was to not necessarily, we would build the kits. I didn't make the reagents. My job was quality control. And I would run sample meaningless tests to confirm that these kits work. And then we would sell these beautiful little kits to scientists who actually use them for something useful. So I was just a cog in the machine, and I was not happy with that level of existence. I think I may have made different career choices if I got my PhD.
You
and
started to go back to school for a while to get.
But for business.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
I was moving toward management.
Yeah.
That was the quicker path to more money.
Yes.
But the thing was, in science, if you have the PhD, then you got a better shot of actually doing research. So I was very unhappy with quality control. Running these fake experiments to show that the product works was not my idea of like a fulfilling way to do things. If I was doing research that meant something that might be helping people, curing diseases. In fact, my specialty was in college. I got on a paper, actually, it was pretty cool, which we were doing maize
corn,
research.
right?
Yeah, corn, to increase amino acid content in it. And that was one of the things we were finding different genes that would flip things on and allow the amino acid content to go up.
GMO, baby, GMO.
GMOs all the way. So yeah, if I was in research, it may have played out differently.
Yeah.
But because I wasn't, I really fell out of love with the whole concept of science and what I was doing as a career.
And he'd come home from work and just spend all of his time in the shop to the point where I'm like, you're doing the wrong job.
Yeah, well, and I even got further away from that because I took a job that just paid better and was closer to home in Temecula, working for an antibody company.
Yep.
And I knew nothing about antibodies.
No,
but they had a couple of kits that they sold that were in the genetic side of things.
Yeah.
They were not very popular products because that's not their specialty. And I went to a tech service job. So then I was even less happy with this because now I'm actually talking to scientists and helping them with their awesome experiments. And I'm sitting there reading woodworking magazines in a cubicle, just counting the minutes till the day is over.
Spending
So-
all your time in woodworking forums.
Yeah, I was in woodworking forums. That's where I got most of my education was
Yeah.
at my antibody tech service job.
Yep.
Anyway, a lot more information than you probably wanted to know.
Vista Cruiser wants to know, I built an ash desk and looking for a finish. I also don't want it to yellow. Is the Osmo finish a good choice? Would Osmo cause it to yellow is basically what he's asking.
Well, Jason, can you come here real quick?
I didn't do it.
Would you mind panning that camera down to show the workbench?
Well, you got a camera right there.
No, that's on the
Oh,
on the
this?
thing. This workbench.
Is this ash?
No.
Oh.
So what you see down here is maple. This bench has been finished and refinished, so the top is a little dirty, but it still gives you an idea. This is an Osmo product on here, and you can see it's taken maple from, do we have any raw maple around?
Yeah.
Somewhere? It did yellow a little bit. Not quite as much as if I put like an oil-based polyurethane on this, but it is a oil-based product. And what is that? No, that's actually one of the old ones. All right, that it's fine. If you truly want this to stay more of the natural color, and the same would go for ash, you really need to use something that's like water-based or what they would call water white. You can find some lacquers that are water white as well. But anytime you use anything with a little bit of oil, including Osmo, you will get a little bit of this yellowing and ambering effect, which you may or may not love. Jay's got a raw maple board, which will probably be way too bright for this shot, but it is what it is. Check this out.
Check it out.
So you can actually see, I know it's washed out, but you can definitely tell there's a difference in that color from raw to finished. And this is an Osmo product that's on there. Thank you, Jay.
I got a question. Get out of
I figured
here.
while we were down there. Sorry.
Someone was asking, what white pencil do you use?
It's a whole guild meeting on white
Doug.
pencils.
Yeah.
I use a combination of things.
It's this one, right?
Pica pen. I've got the white, that one that's red
This
color.
one right here?
Yeah, so that's the
General.
charcoal pencil made by General. That's a pretty good one. I started trying some of these ink pens, these white ink pens. Art and Fly is one that I have here. Hit or miss. It actually makes a pretty fine white line, but on some woods and in some grain directions, it doesn't really do much at all. So I still don't have a perfect answer with the white lead. What is the red one called? It's for sewing.
Yeah. It's, I just had it.
Sew line or something like that?
It was right next to those.
It was right there. And give them the link
These,
to the
right?
store. Yeah. What's that one?
This one is, come on, internet.
Bowen.
Bowen.
Bohin. It's an extra fine chalk pencil. It's a mechanical pencil with 0.7 millimeter lead. It's not as good as 0.5, but you're never going to find the 0.5 lead in white. So the material they make it out of is just too brittle. So I've got a bunch of different things at this point. I wish.
I think you use this one.
I do use it
You
quite a bit.
purchased it twice.
Or maybe it's 0.9 millimeter lead. Sorry, I stand corrected on that.
So I'll put both of these in the Amazon store underneath Friday Live that he's referring to.
Yeah, I still don't have a one-size-fits-all perfect answer to white-colored material on a surface. There's also that Pika pen.
Pikachu.
They have a white lead, but it's huge. It's a very thick lead.
Let's see. Just got a super chat from Mr. K King 33.
Is this what we're gonna do all day?
I know, right?
We could stop the show anytime.
Best way to cut wide panels for 45 without a track saw. Best way
well,
without a track saw.
Go to Amazon, buy a tracksaw. If the width exceeds anything you could do with the table saw, which it sounds like it does, the only way I could see to do that is with a regular circular saw and some kind of edge guide or track that you could even make your own. You want to draw that 45 first, or use like a big 45-degree triangle to make sure your guide is at a 45, and then cut it with a regular circular saw. That's the only way I could think outside of the track saw that really makes sense for a big wide panel. Also, cut a little long and then check it, because you might have to just make a slight adjustment and inch your way back.
Inch back.
Let's take one more question.
One more question. This is from Will Hooper. Got a question about YouTube. Is there a benefit for creators / you if we watch the ads all the way through and not skip them? Yes.
I don't know.
I know the
this?
answer.
I don't know
the
the
answer. Yes, it's always better that you watch the ad. If you skip them, you don't get credit.
So he has to sit there and watch the entire ad of that chick that's fitting 10 pounds of potatoes into a 5-pound sack.
I always get that ad.
What is with this ad?
It's catered to me because...
Yeah, but I get it too.
Oh, you do?
Do I look like I'm going to fit into something like that?
Maybe because we're on CMIP?
It shouldn't be IP based.
No.
It should be based on your Google account.
Yeah. Well, I log in as you a lot.
But it's like one of those, what do you call it? Like
It's
a
a
girdle?
girdle, yeah.
So it's like some new girdle or something. But it's a little shocking when you first play a video.
It's actually hypnotizing. I just watch.
You
going,
first
"What?"
play a video and it's way more skin than you expected to see before watching a woodworking video. And she's yanking it up and showing how slimming it is.
Yeah.
And it's great. I'm happy for her.
Yeah.
But holy smokes.
Yeah.
She's having a good time.
Yeah.
And so if you want to watch the whole thing, I guess it benefits us.
It does. It counts as an ad watch that goes towards the ad revenue. And that's what YouTube looks at.
Okay.
So if a lot of times what I do, I'll pull up a video, I'll let it play, I'll do something else, and then I'll come back to the video.
But it's one of those things, their tactic is to be a little shocking. You know, to show that they're proud of
Right. Not all of them.
Yeah, being able to show this product, and it's fine. I'm all for people being happy with their body.
We're talking about ads,
but
not
the ad,
that. You're talking about that specific ad.
That ad is crazy,
Move
Nicole.
on.
I love it. I love it. All right. Anyway, maybe we're the only people who are seeing this ad and no one knows what we're talking about. That's fine.
Alan Lilich is in the chat. Hey, Alan, thank you for that nice email that you sent. I'm so sorry. I never replied. I feel bad. Don't inch back, scooch back.
Scooch back.
Finesse a cut.
Just a skosh.
Scooch.
Yeah.
So, all right.
What else we got?
We should probably pick a winner. I need to order a electric branding iron. We had a nice company send these to us.
Oh, they're beautiful. But they're old school.
But they're old school, and I really need this to be electric. So I'm going to be researching an electric branding company today. If you have any recommendations, leave it in the comments.
Todd says that he thinks you got to watch at least 30 seconds, not necessarily the entire ad.
I don't know. I've read that you got to watch
I think
the
it's
ad.
probably a moving target, too. They might change the rules. Manic Girl says for a title, Girl with 10 pounds of potatoes.
I like that.
Them's a lot of potatoes. Okay, let's pick a winner for the free guild project.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Dang, dang, dang. Who do I like? Who do I like this week?
Jack.
Let's go. His name's right there. Jeffrey Smith.
Jeffrey Smith.
Jeffrey Smith.
Please email me, nicole@thewoodwhisperer.com, and I will get you set up with a project of your choice in the guild. And you can pick any project.
Buttholes, BioShield, and bleach. Look, who would have thought that a show about woodworking would cover such a wide variety of topics and offend such a wide variety of people while we're doing it. You know? Any show that I'm in is likely to do that.
Yeah.
That's why I'm glad I don't do wood talk anymore, because I don't put my foot in my mouth as much. Yeah, you should hear the stuff that Jay gets to listen to all day.
I love that you now try to make Jason laugh, because I'm easy to make laugh.
Yeah, you're a little easier than Jason, but if I see Jason laugh, then I'm like, all right.
Kevin, just really quickly, he wanted to know if you're a YouTube Premium, how does that affect your ad revenue? I have no idea, but I have to imagine it's something like Amazon. So if you watch our videos on Amazon
I think we get
Prime,
0.005%.
Yes.
I think they do count based on like if you've watched a video, it tallies that way. Here, I'm going to give you the best advice I can give you for supporting not just us, any person
creator
who makes content that you view online. The best way to support them is to find their website, watch the videos on their website, frequent their website. If they have things for sale, buy something. These are the ways you could really support them. The revenue that comes through YouTube, through Google AdSense, is a fair weather friend. And in some cases, it can be taken right out from under somebody. It'll be gone in a heartbeat. So the more we support people at the core, where it really counts, the less they're going to be dependent on the income from these big, giant companies who do not care whether this person is making a living on this or not. Yep. So I do appreciate the fact that people are looking for those little tricks that help them make those extra couple of pennies from Google AdSense. That's always appreciated. But my best advice, if you really want to support people, is go to that next level. For us, it's the Guild. It's Patreon. It's going to our website, supporting the charities, buying a t-shirt, things like that. And all these other content creators, a lot of them kind of have the same thing. You could buy plans. You could buy t-shirts. Maybe some of them sell tools, simple tools. You could buy those things. Yeah, that's true. Some are actually building things and selling the work. Some are building vices and coming up with new inventions. That's the best way to support them. Because that's the thing they have control over. We don't control YouTube, and there will always be multiple times where you just hear this uproar because YouTube made a decision that wasn't friendly. Oh, they don't love us anymore. Well, they never did. They never loved us. We're again the cog in the machine.
We are a cog in their machine.
We're just a cog in the machine, but you need to learn how to manipulate that machine to your best advantage.
Yeah.
And you guys help with that by supporting us. So
thanks for hanging out. There was 500 people watching. $4.99. That's usually wow.
That's worth celebrating. Let's go
500.
Let's go drink more coffee.
Yeah.
Todd says, buy Guild videos. He's only saying that because he gets paid to edit those videos.
Matt says, not swapping stickers. That's fun, but I mean.
I think he's joking.
Oh, is he joking?
Swapping stickers. I'm kind of glad that has died down.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Like every day, I'd get multiple people going, hey, want to do a sticker swap? And I'm like, not really. No, I don't. There's only so much room for stickers. Okay.
Just a tooth in the cog. Oh, guess what?
What?
I need to pick a show title. Showbot. That's how I get my URL.
Oh, you're going to pick it live on the show?
Well, maybe.
Oh, Marc Crowley is really upset that there's only 30 likes on this video. You guys want to hit that like button?
Magic Marc is at the top. I kind of love Magic Marc. Yeah, I think. But then again, Butthole's BioShield and Leash is pretty funny too. Get out of here.
All right.
All right.
All right. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody, and good luck bleaching your eyeballs. Or don't, and enjoy that when you go to sleep tonight.
Thank you. Bye.
Toodles.